This video is presented to you by VOSARD, Voluntary Organization for Social Action and Rural Development.
Jalanidhi is a water supply and sanitation project of the government of Kerala, which is supported by the World Bank. Its name means water, treasure. Throughout this film, we will get to know Chako-chan. He is a former government employee and the secretary of a local beneficiary group who lives in Anakara near Kumili. He took some notes to report about the cause of the Jalanidhi project.
All the families currently benefiting from the Green Valley project are either small marginal farmers or agricultural laborers. In the locality dependent entirely on wells for their water requirements. Every year, in the months of January to May, the water level goes down, forcing people to travel large distances to procure water. This was the main concern before the Jalanidhi project was initiated.
The problems described by Chako-chan sir are caused by the special climate in Kerala. The state of Kerala is located on the western coast of South India. VOSARD assists the Jalanidhi project in the Chakopallam Grama Panchayat. For its amount of rainfall, Kerala ranks one of the highest positions among Indian states. The problem is that 70% of precipitation is received during the monsoon season, between June and September. Another monsoon takes place from October to December. On the contrary, the state experiences water scarcity from January to May due to minimal rainfall and increased temperature. The two monsoons have a direct bearing on the groundwater potential, which causes the groundwater level to recede drastically and wells to dry up during the summer months in many parts of Kerala. The groundwater level also depends on the geology and environmental condition of the soil in general. Due to its hilly landscape, the depth of groundwater in Kerala is comparably low. This mountainous landscape also leads to a short length and steepness of Kerala's mainly west-flowing streams. As a result of the quick flow of water, river water sources have not been utilized on a large scale. After having a look at the climate of Kerala, let us move on to the problems before the Jalanidhi project caused by the water scarcity.
Prior to the project, people had to carry water from distant wells, which could take several hours of walking. During the dry season, many had to supplement this with water from tankers. The price for 1,000 liters of water is around 2,000 or 3,000 rupees, and the quality of that water cannot be ensured. On a rough estimate, 80% of Kerala's rural households rely on traditional groundwater systems like open wells, 10 to 15% use piped water supply systems, and 5% use traditional surface and other systems. Kerala is one of the most developed states in India. The infant mortality rate, for instance, is the lowest among all states. Nevertheless, Kerala still has higher levels of morbidity, especially caused by water and sanitation related diseases. Out of 5,000 households in the Chakopallam Grama Panchayat, more than 70% suffer from water scarcity. According to the National Sample Survey, the amount of households without an individual latrine fell significantly from almost 90% in 1993 to under 60% in 2012. But that means a large majority of rural households, and especially the poor and vulnerable, are still without latrines.
To fight the mentioned problems and thereby improving the standard of living, the government of Kerala launched the Jalanidhi project in different areas, since 2013 for the Idukki district.
The project's aim is to increase the access to drinking water and sanitation facilities, especially for poor and socially disadvantaged groups. To ensure a better local assistance, a supporting organization is chosen for each local body. For the Chakopallam Grama Panchayat, VOSARD applied and was chosen to be trustworthy and capable of carrying out the tasks. VOSARD organizes capacity building, leadership and accounting training, and executes the different activities from the planning phase until the inauguration and evaluation.
VOSARD is the supporting agency for the project. From the registrations to completion of the project, VOSARD conducted awareness classes and seminars and also gave all technical assistance throughout the project. Their efforts and fieldwork for the project are worth mentioning and are invaluable.
Now let's have a closer look at the different phases of the Jalanidhi project. The activities are divided into 4 phases: pre-planning phase, planning phase, implementation phase, and post-implementation phase, which are set up for 27 months in total.
Pre-planning phase. As the first step, a hydrological survey is conducted by KRWSA to show water scarcity, already existing wells, and the need for new methods of water supply. A community meeting called Grama Sabha is convened by VOSARD on behalf of the Grama Panchayat. All those who are interested can participate, are informed about the program, and can raise questions or doubts. When people express their willingness to share costs and participate, different need-based water supply schemes will be worked out by the selected groups, called Beneficiary Groups, BGs. The pre-planning phase ends with the signing of different agreements between Jalanidhi, the Grama Panchayat, the supporting organization VOSARD, and the Beneficiary Groups.
Before we continue with the planning phase, let's have a look at the organizational structure. Funds from the World Bank are given to the government of Kerala, which passes the money on to the Kerala Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency. This agency has a few project management units and several regional project management units located in different areas of Kerala. The regional project management units start implementing projects together with the Grama Panchayat and the assistance of a supporting organization. Eventually, the funds are given to the BGs to finance the construction of wells and other water supply schemes.
%75% of the project capital is provided by the state of Kerala, 15% by the Grama Panchayat, and 10% by the BGs themselves. Once the schemes are finished, the BGs are able to manage their water supply self-sufficiently, without the financial support of any organization. Planning phase. The Chakkupalam Grama Panchayat consists of 15 wards. Depending on the water scarcity, BGs are found in different wards. In the beginning of the planning phase, the freshly formed beneficiary groups of 20 up to 100 members register themselves legally and elect beneficiary committees in general body meetings. Executive members, such as the president, secretary and treasurer, are elected out of the committee members. A lot of factors have to be taken into consideration when it comes to decide between different methods of water harvesting, such as dark wells, bore wells or rainwater harvesting systems. In consideration of local circumstances and the hydrological survey, the resource mapping takes place and the best location is picked. A hydrogeologist is consulted, analyzes the water yield and gives technical advice.
The beneficiary groups then decide which technology is most appropriate considering their given circumstances. If there is a high groundwater level, an open well can be constructed. If the groundwater level is low, a bore well can be considered. If the groundwater is not accessible at all, a rainwater collecting system will be installed. When a possible contamination of salt, chemicals or bacteria can be excluded, the engineering designs are worked out. In order to accomplish the aim of pure drinking water, the Kerala Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency also gives advice for safe latrines that do not pollute water sources in the vicinity.
But not only technical processes begin in the planning phase. Soon after the BG formation, capacity building, leadership and accounting training are carried out by VOSARD officials. Communities become empowered and are able to work with technicians to specify their own water and sanitation schemes and build them using mostly community contracting.
Another criteria is the BG's ability to operate and financially manage their own facilities on a long-term basis, even in case of unexpected expenses such as pump repairments and pipe breakages.
The involvement of local citizens through BGs brings several benefits. Especially poor people are often excluded from society, and some have only few opportunities to make choices in their lives. Hence, the organization into beneficiary groups and also higher levels of organization boost their self-determination. The collective goal unites them and strengthens interaction and group dynamics. Since they all strive to achieve one target, possible difficulties or setbacks can be overcome more easily. Beneficiaries play a key role as they design their own water supply scheme in consultation of different specialists.
The well is here. The water will pump from the well to the tank here, located here. From the tank, it is just distributed into different branches. Based on the houses, the size of the pipe will reduce.
The contribution of a significant amount of money feels satisfactory and increases their commitment. Almost 1,200 households are organized in 20 beneficiary groups.
They are empowered to start and get active themselves to bring a positive change in their lives. They are enabled to be responsible for their own holistic and sustainable development.
The beneficiary groups prepare a report which contains a rough calculation of the estimated costs. As soon as the report is approved by KRWSA, contracts like the planning phase agreement are signed between the different parties. When a sufficient water yield is ensured and a scientific laboratory approves pure water quality, KRWSA gives its approval and the construction can start.
During the implementation phase, the procurement of materials and construction of different wells and rainwater harvesting systems is done. Let us have a closer look at the different types of schemes. In this example, a borewell is depicted. The water is pumped from below the ground into a pump house and then transferred into a water tank. From here it can easily be distributed to all the households.
Vishnu is a junior engineer of VOSARD who will explain the functioning of a water supply scheme.
Water is pumped from that well to this tank. It is almost 30,000 liters of water can be stored in this tank. So almost 53 households are using water from this tank. Water meters are set on this each household for noting the amount of water used by each household. That will hand out to the BG groups, president and secretary. They will look after this after that.
Technical problems can always occur, as Chako-chan will explain now.
Initially, 2 borewells were dug, but the water yield turned out to be very low. This caused loss of money and time. However, the 3rd borewell dug provided the regarded yield.
In this case, you can see an open well. Again, the water is pumped into a pump house and then brought to a water tank. It is also necessary that the tank is located higher than the households in order to ensure the required water pressure. If there is no possible way to obtain water from the ground, a rainwater harvesting system can be built. A tank is filled with rainwater from the roof during the monsoon season and used for water supply during the dry season. Sometimes a combination of both can be the best solution, like in Chako-chan's case.
The next thing he showed us was the collaboration with his neighbor. The water from his roof and his neighbor's roof flow into one well.
Water from my roof is harvested here.
Okay.
Here well. The mixture of cold rock and sand filter this water and bring in the well.
Sometimes water supply facilities of former projects by the Grama Panchayat or the Kerala Water Authority still exist. In consultation with interior supporters, the existing resources are renovated and adapted to the BG's needs. After the construction of the schemes, people don't need to carry water anymore, but can simply use the tap next to their house. Since there's no sufficient space for single toilets in most households, community toilets are constructed. The government of Kerala pays 100%, so that the beneficiaries do not have to pay for sanitation facilities. Some small measures, like stone walls, are implemented to reduce runoff retention. Water pits can slow down the water and help to rise the groundwater level. Capacity building, leadership and accounting training are still carried out to improve the BG's independence. Originally, the BG members gathered only for one aim: pure and sustainable drinking water. But as they are united through one common goal, the members have developed a community feeling which will not end even after Jalanidhi is finished. The BGs are kept up and will be used for other social development projects, such as women empowerment or community-based rehabilitation programs.
Evaluation phase. During the evaluation phase, it has to be assured that the water schemes are sustainably running for several years after construction in terms of producing adequate volumes of water and distributing it to users' households. For that purpose, VOSARD organizes activities such as maintenance and operation training. Problems or difficulties are discussed and solutions are worked out.
In this Jalanidhi project, we are conducting water quality test before implementing the project. And when we completed the project, we will conduct another water quality test. When we get some unusual result, we will conduct another water quality test.
VOSARD, the supporting agency for this project, from the registration to completion of the project, VOSARD conducted awareness classes and seminars and also gave all technical assistance.
The water supply project ends, but the Grama Panchayat and VOSARD still provide advisory support for the BGs. According to World Bank documents, the supportive role of the government, decentralization and the community-based approach is both effective and less expensive than other designs. Savings and costs of up to 30% can be made by involving NGOs like VOSARD.
The rural support can be better guaranteed through VOSARD as the supporting organization rather than by other government-led centralized approaches. Through groundwater recharge, rainwater harvesting and special emphasis on sanitation facilities, all important factors are included to provide a long-lasting water supply.
These are the schemes that were built and the number of households benefiting from it. All in all, 20 water supply schemes were built and are providing fresh and clean drinking water for almost 1,200 households. Here you can see an overview of all the schemes that were built with the assistance of VOSARD.
The Jalanidhi project was managed to address the concern regarding water scarcity in the area. The benefited families could now save time to indulge with their daily works about wasting time to procure water from large distances. It ensured better and clean water supply system. The well-treated water ensured that water-borne diseases are unlikely to occur. Thus, the project contributed a healthier living for the beneficiaries.
I remember the accomplishment of the Jalanidhi project with great pleasure and gratitude. Pure and sufficient drinking water for each household was a distant dream of the villagers. It was a Herculean task to complete it within the stipulated time. It was a joint venture of the government of Kerala, the KRWSA Thiruvananthapuram, the regional project management unit at Thodupuzha, the Chakkuvallam Grama Panchayat, the Beneficiary Groups, and the supporting organization VOSARD. I remember with gratitude the President, Mr. Anthony Kurikat, and also the newly elected President, Vijayamma, and all the Panchayat staff who have worked hard to achieve it. I acknowledge the commitment and hard work of the Jalanidhi project team. I am grateful to the community leaders and beneficiaries for their participation in completing this project. It is a matter of great achievement that 1,200 families having pure and sustainable drinking water at their doorstep.
For more information, please visit our website vosard.org or facebook.com/vosard.